So today we've got Jeff from Monument Sotheby's. He has an awesome listing located in the community of Hailey's Glen, which is in Lewes on Angola Road. Jeff, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
This is a Southport. Beautiful home. I actually walked through this home before they closed on it. I mean, they really did a phenomenal job, which we'll go through the pictures and show all the crazy details they went through. I mean, they really
it's gorgeous. Semi-private lot, usable backyard. Not all the lots in this community have good usable backyards.
Yeah.
It's a really prime lot, wooded behind, so it's great.
Yeah, it's so if I bring up the community here, and I forget exactly, are they before or I think they're after the
They're
little
after.
bump
They're about halfway down.
So before the.
Nope, they're before the amenities.
Okay, so
right in that area.
Let's see, I forget what they have out back. So it is absolutely a tree-lined home site, which do you have pictures of? Oh, you can see right here. You can see how tall this is. We're not talking like little dogwoods. They're like big trees. Nice and
exactly.
Back
and the developer shell, when they finished it off, there's saplings back there too.
Yeah.
So they've done a whole nother row of more trees to kind of fill in more. There's only one house in the community behind them that's on a huge lot. So there's really nothing back there that you would see other than you might see a little sparse picture of another house. But
if it's December or something and everything happens to be thinned out, you might, if you try.
Right, exactly.
But
they planted some arborvitaes to help with that in the wintertime.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good situation. And certainly, obviously, it's just a buffer, so nothing can be built there.
Sure.
It'll be good.
Yeah, and it is behind. I know there's a dry pond that's back here, and that's what I was trying to remember. I don't think they have the dry pond behind them. It's just
they don't. I think it might actually be the house that you're pointing on.
This one right here. Yeah. It's just it is to your point, it's a usable backyard. Whereas some of these people here, it kind of slopes down. So not that you don't have access to the yard, but if you kick a ball, it's going to go down into that dry pond real fast. And Hailey's Glen, Shell Brothers, as you mentioned, it's a great community located in Lewes. If we kind of zoom out here, we'll get a little perspective. I'm going to spin this around the right way. So this is Angola Road. This is Route 24, which is John J. Williams Highway, which is like a main east to west corridor. If we were to take this in order to get from their home to get all the way down to Route 1, which is going to put you at like the McDonald's on Route 1. Yep. 10 minutes maybe?
Probably about
12?
10 minutes. About 4 miles from their house to there. From there, from the home into Rehoboth, right into the boardwalk, is about 8 miles.
Okay.
And then to the beach in Lewes Beach, or Savannah Beach, I think they're calling it now, is about 9 miles.
Okay, so you're
pretty much
right.
equidistant.
Yeah.
Super easy to get to both of them.
And obviously, if you're going to be going down to Savannah Beach or Lewes Beach, whatever we're calling it, it's just going to be a short little drive farther to get into Cape Pendleton State Park, which is where, for everybody knows that lives here year round, that's where you go to driving on and do all of that. So, and there's so much other stuff, trails and the Boy Scout stuff, and there's a little museum in there and all kinds of stuff. So it's neat to have that, I guess that's going to maybe put you 9 miles or 8.5 miles away or whatever it's going to be. Yeah. So to have that. And then obviously downtown Rehoboth also, so that's going to be, a quarter mile closer for agave, of course, for margaritas. And, Second Street, we just had my daughter is in second grade, and we had a field trip, and we went to the Second Street, and we visited businesses. Okay. It was pretty cool, and they talked about like commerce, and they're kind of bringing business aspects into these second graders. But it's neat when you get more granular and you're walking at, I guess, a slower pace. Like I get down there, go to get my coffee, or I go to whatever.
You're on a mission.
To kind of slow down. It's such a cool little street. Yeah, it really is.
It totally is. And the benches and that kind of stuff, just to sit and relax and to look and to people watch is great.
It's awesome. My oldest, she's in 7th. She just did a report on Coretta Scott King, and she read in the historic aspect, which is at the very end of Second Street. They had that whole little area, and if you've never gone in there, all the buildings that they have that are in there that are time period corrected, and it is to have that in the backyard is really neat too. So and then in season you may catch people walking around in period correct, gear and everything. It's neat. So having that right around the corner, but the biggest thing, from my opinion, and I kind of tend to geek out coming from the new construction side. Every builder has kind of their advantage, disadvantage, but Shell Brothers, for people that have watched my video, I think every builder has their strength. They have a trifecta effect of, they have beautiful communities, beautiful looking homes in great locations, and they're really well built, which is, definitely, I think something that people need to know and understand.
Yep.
This is a Southport, but it is a Southport that's built really well.
Right.
So, which is cool.
Yeah. And I would just say, I would add to that, like, it's a Shell Brothers house and a Shell Brothers community, just to your point. Like, they do something just a little bit different that's making it feel it's got a little bit of a luxury edge to really every other community that's out there.
And the way they do their elevations. So, you go into some other, maybe like a national builder, and their elevations, they may look different, but when you're looking at it kind of sideways looking down the street, they still look the same. It's just like, peaks all the way down the street. And it's like, they all still kind of look the same. These look like they almost look different. You need to really know in order to know, like, oh, that's the Southport too, because they really do look different.
Yeah. And they try to stay away from straight streets.
Yep.
So there's a meander, there's a bend, so that you're not looking at a big lineup of homes. There's a lot of little details like that I really appreciate. Yeah,
and Shell Brothers, when they came out, when Hailey's Glen hit the market, my goodness, when was that? Maybe 4 years ago, maybe somewhere around there. This is I don't want to say no amenities, because there is an amenity that's in here, but we don't have a clubhouse, we don't have a pool, which is great because for people that are maybe looking to be a little bit more conscious on their monthly expenditures, maybe they're on the fixed income now that they're retiring and they don't want to spend $300 a month or $400 or in some cases $700 a month on HOAs. You can come in and we've got a huge pool. Yeah, that's like 8 miles away. Yep. The ocean that you can go swim in.
And that's why people move here, right?
Yeah.
So do they
enjoy
need the
outside?
Pool? Right.
Yeah. And I think that, here you go. You can also put your own pool in.
Yeah, you can zoom in, certainly go up and down the street and see that there are at least 4 homes that have pools.
Here's another one.
So the lots are large enough for that. There are a couple of lots that don't really have enough room to accommodate it, but this lot actually does. And then, of course, you have that buffer. You can see it in the back there where all of those smaller trees are planted.
So is this this is the developer's landscape package they put in?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. That's part of the HOA common area. So that whole area is maintained by the HOA. Okay. But the home itself doesn't own all of that grass. Part of that is maintained by the HOA, but the backyard, the rear yard there is actually large enough for a pool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now with Hailey's Glen, because of the lower monthly, it does not include lawn care, right? Which I think, I have this discussion with clients all the time, like, oh, it doesn't include lawn care. My community doesn't include lawn care either. Yeah. And in January, I'm super happy about that because I'm like, cool, I'm not paying to cut grass when it's not. Or if the guy that is hired by the community to cut the grass isn't doing a great job, you can't fire him. Yeah. I have my guy, and if he starts doing a bad job, I can hire him, get someone else, or negotiate a better price with something else. Right. So you have a little more control.
Your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my community we do lawn care in the community, and we opted out. So we didn't like the way the HOA was doing it. So we just got our own lawnmower, and we take care of it ourselves. Yep. Last week it rained a lot, so the lawn care company canceled. Yep. Nobody got their lawn mowed except for the people that mowed themselves. Yep. So I'm a big believer in it.
But you still paid for it.
We still pay for it. That's true.
Which is nice in this case.
Yep.
You don't have to.
Correct.
You just pay for it. If it's a really hot July, my guy will knock on the door and say, "Hey, the lawn's kind of dry. I think we should skip this week."
Okay.
I don't pay for it.
Thanks.
Yeah. In the HOA, you pay for it. Right. 52 weeks out of the year. So whether there's snow on the yard or not, you're still paying out your grass cut. So, there's advantages and disadvantages, and I'm sure we can always find kind of the silver lining. But I think that it's nice to be able to have a little bit more control on your property and how it's maintained. So as far as the home itself, I did want to kind of go through the coloring that they chose. I mean, sometimes you walk into a house and you go, oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
Why did you choose, such dark floors or dark cabinets or
Right.
whatever? They really picked great colors. The exterior is, I think very fitting, but the biggest thing is when you go inside. I'm sure as a listing agent, you probably do the same thing I do. You step in the front door, and you're like, please don't be like old, like 3-inch, dark
What
woods.
am I walking into? Right.
Yeah.
No, I would say that the overall feel, you can even tell from the outside, is coastal farmhouse.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the lifestyle that they live
Yeah.
and that they're going for. So you walk through, I think everything is beautifully appointed. The floors, 7-inch engineered wood floors. They're not laminate.
Well, on 7-inch, that means you had to go to probably at least a level 5, if not a level 6.
It was a level 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get 7-inch, because everything else
Yeah.
is either 3 or 5. So that's a big upgrade.
Yeah, for sure.
Tons of trim. As we can see.
Tons of trim. There's pretty much trim everywhere you look. And it's a really nice offset because it's not just shiplap everywhere.
Yeah.
I think shiplap was used in the right places in the right way, but the board and batten really smartly done too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I
I
think
love the color palette that they chose.
Yeah.
The colors, they're really nice coastal colors. They're not too bright. They're not too pale. So yeah, it's really really stunning.
Well, and I think something that's important to note, because this house is only 6 months old, 7 months old, something like that. Like, I mean, it's still in its bumper to bumper 1-year warranty.
Yep.
A lot of people may be wondering, like, well, my goodness, why would you move out of something so fast? Just so people are aware. I mean, they got a great opportunity to go back to where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It happens. I tell people all the time, you never build or buy to sell, but things happen.
Yep. You make moves for life changes.
Sure.
Right. And business or a professional opportunity came up, and they couldn't refuse it.
Yeah.
So they're on the way back to where they came from, and they're happy about that.
Yeah.
They're not sad about it. They're sad of leaving the area and sad of leaving the home that they built. They thought they would be here for a long time, but the house is great.
Yeah.
Had a really good experience.
They put money. They put money where it mattered. I was really surprised when I walked in to see a chef's kitchen.
Yes.
I was not expecting that because, there were discussions about, what was going to be put in there. And, for people that are aware of Shell Brothers, you have the included, you have gourmet, you have professional.
Professional and
chef
chef.
is
It's the top.
Yeah. You can tell by number one, this, the Wolf style,
Yep.
range, the Sub-Zero style fridge, and then this cabinet gray hood. But that's a very big upgrade.
Right.
The beautiful, I think this is it herringbone style?
It's a herringbone brick.
Yeah.
And it's a very pale blue. So, it really brings the light in.
Well, and what's cool, which I love the way that they did what they did on things, was you could come in and add in the accent color that you want to set the tone for kind of every room in there.
Right.
So if you want to use, coral, if you want to use a teal, whatever it is, because everything else is very beachy and neutral,
Right.
you can set the tone for the way that you want. It's not,
Yep.
they have dark blue cabinets, painted cabinets,
Right.
and that's what you're stuck with. So,
Yep, exactly.
the huge island. They did the pendant lighting, which is nice. The chef's kitchen orients and gives you all of these upper glass cabinets, which is wonderful. But an expensive option is adding those upper lighting.
They put all lights in.
And they put the lights in.
Inside, underneath. Yeah.
It's like you turn the sun on when you walk in there.
It's hard to say where you should look first.
Yeah.
When you walk in there.
No, you're 100% right. And again, like I said, when I walked through there, I was expecting it to be very different.
Yeah.
I walked through; it was white, and it's nice. It's really neat to see the color palette that they chose. To your point, it's they didn't go with really dark grays or things that
Right.
are not, I don't want to say offensive, but things that would be like, oh, now I got to paint that. It's true to kind of the vibe that how they built the home out.
Yep.
Sets goes in with it really well. The Stonefield, or not the Stonefield, sorry, the Southport, for people that don't know, one of Shell Brothers' highest selling Coastal Cottage Series homes is the Lilac.
Right.
This is the big brother or a cousin to the lilac. It's almost identical, except it's about 4 feet wider. But they didn't just add it to the side. They kind of put it where it really needed to be, which is in the middle of this living space. So when you're in a lilac, you kind of notice you're like, especially if you do a fireplace, because the only way of doing a fireplace is to take up square footage and come into the room. It starts to feel a little bit tight, whereas the Southport, it does not. You're like, this is how it should have been done from the get-go.
And they did do the side extensions and the rear extensions. So that added even more space to it. Which it's a really grand but comfortable feel when you walk in there.
And my biggest thing, the first time I walked into Southport, it was like, this is how the lilac should have been done. And I get why they have the lilac. When you're on the tight lot, I understand. But this is where I always kind of was like, I wish it was just a little bit Southport. There it is. That's how it should be. I love the landing that they have in the lilac and the Southport. It's actually neat. I forget, did they have a basement or no?
No, they don't have a basement. They're on a crawl, but that's the storage closet, and it actually goes all the way in underneath those stairs. So it's huge.
Massive. And it's so I've seen it used a couple ways. I have another client in here that has a Southport, and it's like a kid's playroom. It's really neat. Like they're hidden because they're younger kids. Really, really cool. And then I've seen other people in a lilac. They had all these little carts on wheels, and so they had like every holiday was on the cart.
Interesting.
So they pulled out and had all of their plateware and dishes and decorations. So they just roll it out, and then roll it back in. And I was like, well, it's a clever way because it's a big space.
It's a big space.
It's not like a closet.
It's deep.
So
if you have stuff kind of stacked up in the front, you can't get to the back. So that's a great idea.
It was really. I was like, that is super clever.
Super smart.
It was really neat. The window array back here is great. It just allows for lots of natural light coming in, which is lovely.
The thing that I love about that is that you literally have floor to ceiling windows, and you have all that natural light coming in, but there's a screened covered porch out there. So the roof of that porch is higher than the roof line of the windows. So it totally lets all that natural light in without the heat.
Well,
really.
It was so funny because I couldn't remember if they did a screened-in porch or not, and it didn't look like it. And I was like, I'm surprised they didn't do a screened-in porch on that. But there's obviously so much natural light in here, they obviously didn't. Obviously, I was wrong, and that's when you have that high ceiling, that's what really helps keep all that natural light flowing in. Because otherwise, it's kind of like it's like wearing a baseball hat. Putting a baseball hat on those windows, and all of a sudden, casts all this shadows, whereas this doesn't do that, which is great. Huge owner suite. I mean, obviously, they added recessed lights, but the big thing, this is kind of to your point, of like they did shiplap where it should have been done
tastefully.
The windows face the rear of the home, so and it is a big room. I mean, this is probably, I'm assuming, is going to be a king. With 2 chairs, with an end table, and then there's still space here. I mean,
so they did do the rear extension. So there's a significant amount of space on the back of this than is standard. So it really does make a huge difference. And when you walk in there, you feel it.
And the little different angle there. When you go into, so this is going to be from the owner's bath looking into the owner's bedroom.
Correct.
So again, added some more trim in there. Even that's the water closet, so you got trim in the water. That way you can feel fancy. Great cabinetry, full overlay cabinets. I'm sure they're probably soft close.
Everything, soft close.
Added some plantation shutters. The nice thing is there is an option that you can do this cabinetry all the way up, which, in my opinion, makes the bathroom feel claustrophobic. So it's nice to have this breakup. Now there's like less arguing. As like whose space is what. This is my counter, this is yours. But then, but not having it still feels super open. Nice.
Well, and I've also thought like those upper cabinets, when you see them, they're attractive, but you really do lose counter space.
A lot,
And it, like to your point, it makes things feel smaller, and then you start thinking about how you would use it, and you've got to get out a step stool. The next thing you know, you're like climbing. And just outside of the bathroom is a huge linen closet. So you don't need that extra storage. It's smart.
Yeah, no, these are probably, if not 24 inches deep, they're close to it. So when that goes all the way up and it's 2 feet deep, I mean, it really brings that wall into your face. So it's nice that you still get, 4 huge drawers here, which is, again, you have your towels right here and then your backups in the linen closet.
Yep.
How many towels do you really need
Right.
in there, but still keeping that airy, open feel to it. This is where, and I think that whole natural light thing really flows in when you have this open loft. There's a huge set of windows. Let's see if we can get an angle on those windows. Here we go. 3 huge windows, and this is our great room down here. So our great room has that huge window array that we were looking at, then a huge picture window, then another window, and then this whole, there's just light everywhere, which is just great. Nice big open loft, but not oversized.
Right.
When you have some of these lofts and you're like, what am I doing with all this open space up here?
Yeah.
It's like, are we playing soccer or tennis? So it's a good size. 1 bathroom up here or?
One bathroom,
1 bath.
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms. Okay.
Yeah, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath on the second floor. There's not a picture of the storage room. That's my bad.
Okay, and so that's the area that's above the garage.
Above the garage, yes.
It's unfinished.
If you see the door frame there on the left of the image,
here.
right there, yeah, that goes over the garage. So it's a 2-car garage. So that storage room is the size of a 2-car garage. It's enormous.
Yeah.
And it's a great place when people don't realize that when you build a house, if you build it all out like that, then you have very limited storage space.
Sure.
Then they start looking in their garage and they're like, oh, I wish I had a basement, and those kinds of things. That room is just like a basement. It's just like extra storage in your garage. It's perfect. And you can see how big this house is. It's almost 2,800 or 2,900 square feet. You don't need
and there's
more living space.
There's so much closet space throughout the house for like your everyday, clothing or off-season clothing or whatever it might be. This is a great space since you don't have a basement of putting your decorations and all that kind of stuff. And you don't have to climb up a ladder or go down into the basement. Now, yes, you're going either stairs down to a basement or stairs up to the loft or up to the second story, but I don't know why it feels different.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like, you're going down into the basement versus, you're going up and you're just grabbing it out of the loft and carrying it back down. And you also, I always talk about this with my wife because my home has like a straight shot staircase.
Okay.
So I always talk about my kids when they're being goofy and messing around. You would stumble down the stairs and then kind of have like somewhere to save the kids. So I was like, but if you're carrying something heavy, you can walk down, rest, sit there, and then take it down the other half. So it is nice to kind of have, having that switchback staircase is nice. But that is, and there we go, right here. That is it. This door?
Yep.
That goes, and it is. So think of your garage. You just have another one that's upstairs for unfinished storage. So 3 bedrooms, 1 bath up there, stone countertops, obviously undermount sinks, and probably this tile, maybe LVP or something that's in there. Again, plantation shutters in there.
Yeah.
Goodness, they really.
Yeah, they did plantation shutters just about in every room that faces the streets and any bedroom. So.
And plantation shutters are not cheap.
No.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that already done. And this bedroom, these doors go out onto that balcony from the front entrance, which is nice.
So that's an upgraded elevation. I think it's elevation B, and it has that front loft or the front balcony on the second floor.
Yeah.
It's a really cute room. Like it's kind of set off from everybody.
Yeah.
And the oval windows on either side of that are the walk-in closets for both of those bedrooms. So the pink bedroom has a walk-in closet, and that dark blue bedroom that you were just showing also has a walk-in closet.
Which is nice
really
because
big.
there's more light.
Yep.
It's almost like I feel like the theme for this should be like natural because it is. Well, and that's kind of, I had one of the Shell Brothers guys on for a podcast, maybe a year ago or something. And he said when Chris, because Chris has his hand in all the floor plans, and when they start with windows and work backwards because natural light really is.
Really?
Which is,
Interesting.
And, they're all about natural light. And I mean, it obviously shows here.
Even that storage room over the garage, those 2 windows in the front, that's the storage room. That's the big windows that you get in that storage room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it is big enough that should you decide for some reason that you need, yet another. You want an exercise room. You can partition that and have that finished off. Put a mini split in there, and have your Peloton or gym or whatever you decided that you wanted to do in there, and still have unfinished storage.
Right.
It's not like a closet. It is. It's a garage that you could literally almost park 2 cars up there, basically. So
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of space.
And maybe you know better than I do, but I recall that Shell, when they finished that off, they put a mini split in there anyway.
Yep.
So even if it was finished from the beginning, it would still have a mini split.
100%.
So it's pretty much just kind of finishing it off the way that Shell would finish it off.
Yep. Yeah. You always, whenever you're on top of unconditioned space, you don't want that to be part of your main HVAC system because it'll throw it off.
Right.
To make it cold, the rest of the house can be freezing, or to make it hot. So doing a mini split, and again, you can just, any contractor or any HVAC guy has access to to a mini split, separate zone. The nice thing is that when you're not using it, you're not really, you can in the winter turn it down, or in the summer turn it up, and you're not wasting tons of energy of now heating and cooling this large room. So it is a great listing, and that's why there's a great view of kind of what we're looking at there on the home site. It's a great listing. Oh, look! Sorry, I keep interrupting myself. In the next picture, it's something else that's really good. A great listing. Here's the amenities. Like I said, it's not no amenities. There is this kind of gathering space with the fire pit. But the biggest thing, I've had a number of clients who have built in here, and this community is super active within its community.
Yep.
I had a client who was around Thanksgiving. She was thinking about building, and she was all by herself. She didn't have any family, and so I was talking to one of the Shell people, and she said, "I'm gonna have her talk to a neighbor." The neighbor invited her for Thanksgiving to come to spend the night at her house. And then they go down to Rehoboth to do the tree lighting and everything else. And she's like, "This is crazy." So it's a really, yes, they don't have a pool and a clubhouse, but they're very interactive. And again, you can be as active or inactive as you choose, but they do a lot of things together, which is nice.
Yeah, I've noticed that just being at the home and doing open houses and being present in the community, and people are walking by and stopping and talking to each other and stopping and talking to me. It's a really nice community. That. Yeah.
Well, and it's small, and that's the difference between being in a community that has 600 homes and a community this is probably, I don't know, maybe around 90 or something.
67.
67.
Yeah.
So you've got under 70 homes versus 600.
Yep.
You can know everyone pretty easily. So this is great. And to give a little bit of perspective really quick, and I don't want to drag on and on because people, I don't want to bore people, but this is important details coming out of the community. You come over to Route 24. We talked about if you made a right, it would take you down to Coastal Highway. And Coastal Highway, obviously, left goes into Lewes, right goes into Rehoboth, and then all along there, you're going to have outlets and dining and everything else. But if you make a left takes you in to Millsboro, and a short distance right up here at Route 24, and I don't know if this is 5. I don't know which ways. 5's
23.
Here, and then 5's here, and then 25. Yeah. But at this intersection, you've got a Weiss, you've got a shopping center there that's got 2 meatballs, and it's got Yellowfins, you've got a Wawa, you've got Giant, you've got Harris Teeter up the street.
Right.
There's a lot that's right here to where you don't have to interact with Route 1 if you don't want to.
You're less than 10 minutes, you've got 3 grocery stores right there.
Yep.
So
4 gas stations.
4 gas stations. Great restaurants. If you pull back a little bit, obviously Baywood Greens is there.
Yep.
So you're really close to golfing.
Public.
Yeah. And you can see how close you are to the water.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, if you come down and you go into Potnet's Bayside and you come down here, this is Paradise Grill, which is open to the public, which is just a fun place.
It's a fun place, yeah.
Yeah, when you have fun, you have friends that come, you got to go to Paradise. It's pubby food, it's cheesesteaks and burgers and nachos, but they've got bands and it's all outdoor and there's
good
palm
energy.
Trees and it's fun. Which is neat to have that kind of right around the corner. And then you can go a little farther down. You've got Seaside Grill down here. That's in Massey's Landing. Seaside Grill right here, which is nice. It's like a really small version of Paradise Grill, which is neat. But to something that you and I just discussed as well, if we go back, let's see here we are. And if we cross over Angola Road and go to Angola Beach Road, we are going to do a little bit of digging into
Yeah.
this circumstance. But at the very end, this road dead ends, which we believe this is a fully public road all the way to the very end, dead ends at the bay here.
Burton Prong. Yep.
And you can get in, if we zoom in here, there's an SUV with a trailer that's parked right there to put a jet ski or put, your kayak or paddleboard or whatever. And here's people on a bicycle. So, that's right on the other side of the road.
Right. It's probably about half a mile, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, right down the street.
Yeah.
So you literally, if you had a kayak and stored it in your garage and had it on a trolley, you could probably walk there.
Yeah.
And just drop it in and paddle around. And obviously look how beautiful it is.
Yeah. Or be really cool. Get yourself a street legal golf cart and
Yeah, right.
pull your jet ski behind it and launch it. And you can be the envy of the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, there's that. And I had no idea. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I didn't know that. And I'm actually, I'm going to take a drive down there this weekend to do some investigating because I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's, that doesn't happen a lot. So, I mean, again, great listing, great community, great builder, kind of great everything. It really puts into perspective for some people, especially if they're looking they want to try to get in now and be in for summertime. I'm assuming they're incentivized from it. They're not like looking for a 6-month closing. They're ready to close
they're
like
flexible,
whenever.
But yeah, they'd be ready to move on a dime.
Cool.
If that's what it came down to.
We are at right now 810. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, just shy of 2,800 square feet. So, and again, the home is, like I said, I think it's just over 6 months or 7 months.
It was October that they moved in, so it's right around 7 months.
Yeah.
Or 8 months.
So still have 4 to 5 months worth of that bumper to bumper warranty, and then every other aspect of the Shell Brothers warranty.
Right. You have the structural 10. Yep.
All of that is all transferable and will all come along with it. Chef's kitchen, all the extensions, all the trim work, all the fixings, really, great listing.
Thank you.
So no, I really appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing this with the audience. So obviously if anyone has, questions or whatever, reach out. This is, it's a great property. Again,
Thanks.
It's done and it's done well. It's super neutral. People can make it kind of their vibe. Chef's kitchen. I mean, it really kind of hits everything.
And the community's sold out.
True.
So Shell is not building in there anymore.
Yep.
So we're on resales now.
Yeah, that is the only
If
option.
you want new construction in there, this is the closest you're going to get to
You're
it.
right, because it's basically brand new. So.
Yeah. I'm going to say you really can't beat the finishes.
Yeah.
For the price to rebuild this would be more than the asking price.
With all of the trim and with, you have to remember, so yes, they closed 6 to 7 months ago, but they went under contract not quite, but almost a year before that.
Probably, yeah.
So the base prices have changed. So if they were still offering, the base price would be higher. Lot premiums could be adjusted. The selections are going to be higher. So all of that stuff to replicate the home now, you're not going to be able to do that. So
Exactly.
especially once you get into
Great
selections,
value.
and add even more onto it at the selections appointment. So
Yep.
Beautiful house. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you for sharing this.
Cory, thanks so much.
Hopefully we can get your sellers a buyer. So
Yeah, bring me buyers.
awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks again, Cory.
All right.
All right.